Hi, I'm Janie with the League-Kempner House. Remember our parlor windows that were in such horrible shape? And we very carefully took those sashes out and saved them. Did a lot of work on the wall, a lot of demolition, had that horrible struggle getting the lintels made properly to get above these windows, and got everything ready to go in. We had that wood bent at McNatt Contractors. Y'all saw the fabulous work that they did on that, and we were ready to start and assemble the window frames, and the roof got blown off, and we had to put everything on pause. We lost our place in the list, and we had to start over, and it's been about a 6-month wait to get everything done and move up the list to where we're finally at the point where McNatt is coming today to start measuring. Unfortunately, Eben is no longer with them, but Ben, the supervisor, is taking on the job himself, and he's got a little different approach on how he wants to do the construction. While we waited on Ben to arrive, Joe and I surveyed some of the death and destruction in the yard. Between the freeze we had last year and the extreme heat, we're losing some pretty big plants. My pomegranate that died completely.
Yeah.
In the freeze. I thought it might make it. It tried, but it didn't quite make it. But I have a bunch of black spray paint. I'm thinking of
For Halloween?
flipping it and spraying it for Halloween to put it in some vases inside. But this is what's making me very sad, is that's our queen palm. It was gorgeous here. We already lost the big date palms that were in the original realtor photos. They got a fungus. This got hit by the freeze, and it tried to live. It put out one green branch, and then it's dying. So I think it's just toast. So it's going to have to come down. It was beautiful. I hate to lose it, but that's something we can cut down ourselves. It's leaning away from the house, and it won't hurt anything to just whack it off. So I may bring the big chainsaw and do that, as opposed to that big one, which has my solar light on it that still works. But I'm afraid to leave it too long. I don't want it to fall and hurt anybody. So I'm going to have to get the ladder and get up there and take the solar panel down and the lights down, move that to a new tree and get that out of there.
The ladder? Who's going to go up there?
Me.
No.
What? Ricardo?
No.
Ricardo.
Ricardo.
Okay, Ricardo. Joe won't let me do anything. Okay, this is really exciting. McNatt is here. We're waiting on Ben, the supervisor of the project, to get here and start this process of getting these windows rebuilt and put in. This will be a dramatic change for this house, and it's been over 2 years in the making. Before we start, a quick note. I got a brand new mic set to replace my others, which were failing, and we used it on this video, and the quality is horrible. The sound quality is bad, and sometimes it didn't record at all. So once again, I'm apologizing for our sound, but we're doing the best we can. So you came here for parties before?
Just under.
You don't have to say what happened at the party,
Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
But it did have a reputation for a big
Yeah, we used to have
party house.
We used to play music here in this room.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have a lot of music events here.
Did they do stuff outside? I heard they did.
No, mostly inside.
Mostly inside?
The neighbors wouldn't like it.
Oh, okay. I envisioned, when people said they had music, I envisioned like big parties on the yard. But
have potlucks.
Mm-hmm. There's the man. He's filling me in on the party days of the house.
Oh, yeah. The
So,
Vegan Mansion?
The what?
You probably didn't know it had
The what name?
The Vegan Mansion?
Beacon Mansion?
Vegan?
Oh, vegan. Oh, I did see some vegan videos and snapshots of parties. So I think these two are ready. We didn't take this out and work on the brick, but we made this one to look exactly like that one, because you said that was the best.
Well, we'll take some more measurements of the openings as well.
So,
but the main thing we're going to need to do is look at the sashes and kind of
they are over
from the sash sort of
out.
out.
Okay, the sashes are over here all together.
Are they numbered?
No.
Because that would be too easy.
They're pretty close on size last I was looking at them. So.
Yeah, there's one lower sash that's.
Do you mind if we set a table?
You can do whatever you need to do. Yeah. Yeah, you'll see it when you start moving them. There's one of them that the bottom has separated and the glass is coming out.
Okay.
The others seem to be pretty sound, but be careful when you're moving them. I don't know which one it is, so. But the rest of them seem to be in good shape.
Are we gonna reglaze these?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think.
Did you want to reglaze them or no?
Anybody that breaks the glass is going to end up thrown out a window. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Y'all have insurance.
What's that?
I said y'all are insured. That's why I don't.
My insurance is throwing people out.
I don't touch them. I don't touch them.
I'm not worried about that right now. What I want to do is kind of get them cleaned up. Like, we'll pop these metal pieces off, and then that way we can lay two of them out and get it exact, or as exact as we can with measurement on, and then as they're stacked together, we'll get a height measurement. It's basically more of the sills going to interact with the top of them.
Do you want to take two of those to the shop? Do you want to take them? No, you don't want to move them?
But really, I mean, besides the one that was coming apart a little bit,
The
the
others
sashes are
were,
in
the
really
others
good
were
shape.
sound. It was,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
actually seemed to be, well, we'll look for it. It seemed to be fine. It just, like it came unglued. You
Yeah.
know, it didn't seem to be super rotted, so it might just be able to be glued and reclamped.
And we have all the new chains and everything to make the,
Yeah, and the pulleys.
the small one's the top one, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we went back with the, I'm not gonna say more modern weather stripping, but we went back with the weather stripping will be in the actual parting stop. And that way it can be easily removed and put another one put in years in the future if somebody needs to. But it also doesn't modify the windows as much. You know, that's one of the things we like. They actually cut and put a groove in to put these in. And I'm not gonna say it's the worst thing to do, but
As a form of weather stripping.
yeah, the
I like
least we
that.
can modify the windows, you know, the least
better.
amount of cutting we have to do on the sashes themselves or on the frames. Try to keep it kind of to the original specification if we can, just for the fact that they did it for so many years like this. It worked so well.
People think old windows are bad,
yeah.
but it's really just they're not maintained properly. They were actually
Right, yeah.
pretty weather tight, weren't they?
And-
Draft, if they were hung correctly and
Oh yeah,
maintained.
yeah, for sure. And I think will way outlast anything that's built out of vinyl, out of metal.
modern wood. I
Yeah,
can attest that the
yeah.
Lucas, my brand new, I won't name the manufacturer, maybe I will, windows are 20 years old. The sashes have rotted so much that glass literally falls out on the ground periodically.
And that's the other challenge even for us
Yeah,
is
20
trying
years
to
old.
find a durable, so what we made the
Material.
frames with is something that's durable and that will hold up to insects and rot. And we would like to say, okay, well, it's comparable to what they use, but really,
You don't have it today.
yeah, and if you could find it, you could source some of it, but at what cost? I mean, you're talking 3 to 4 times as much, at least, just for the
But
material.
y'all used, I've forgotten.
It's a Sipo mahogany.
Sipo
Yeah,
mahogany, that's right.
yeah, or a utile. Some people call it. I think it's native. They call it utile. I think everybody changes the names on them for whatever.
Yeah.
Calling it a mahogany is like saying I'm somewhat related to an old king of England. I may be, but it's not a
It's not
direct.
really-
It's not a real direct relation.
So if we were super rich, we could use old growth cypress that's been
yeah,
mined out of the swamp today.
yeah,
Since you
a
can't
sinker's eye.
harvest that, sink logs,
Yeah.
or then true mahogany.
And there's even one that is readily available in the north west up through Alaska that they've coined Alaskan yellow cedar. It's not a cedar. It is yellowish in color, but it's actually a cypress.
Okay.
And it's lightweight. It's resistant to bugs and rot. However, they don't really ship it over to here. And again, it's at least twice or 3 times as much as what we use. So it's kind of a balance of what would be good to kind of keep the window alive for a long time and what would be cost effective
So if we
as well.
keep it painted and sealed and everything, we shouldn't be doing this for another 100 years.
Yeah, and the beauty of the wood components is you can still take them apart and reuse the bits that are still good too. So, oh, you did get rain. Yeah, see, I thought you were just lying about the rain. It hadn't rained in so long.
That's pretty sound under there.
I'm gonna go grab some stuff in the truck. Do you want me to leave your?
You can leave it on.
Okay.
It won't hurt it.
Okay. Yeah, right.
It picks up for like 100 yards, so be careful what you say.
I'm gonna go grab my.
While they're going to get some stuff out of the truck, I'm going to go get the ladder off the second floor and start checking these light bulbs. So I might as well multitask.
So this is one of those segments where we lost sound, so it's really not much to see. I needed to change a lot of light bulbs. Things were burned out, and our Friday the 13th fundraising event is going to be at night, actually in the middle of the night. So we need all these lights working. So it was a good opportunity for me to get something checked off my list. And then unfortunately the mic stayed dead while Ben started measuring the windows. They've already measured these a couple of times, but you know the old saying, measure twice, cut once. Well, you really need to measure 5 or 6 times to get this right. And Eben was going to build the windows on site, but Ben would prefer to build them in the shop where he has all his equipment and tables to lay everything out and really stage everything. So he needs very precise measurements, and the windows are slightly different. So unfortunately you can't hear. We had a very long discussion about some of the problems with these windows, because remember, they are built on a curve, and so the sides of the window frame are not parallel. They actually fan out. So it's a very complex building process. So this took a lot of time. We had a lot of discussion about some alternative ways to do things. So I'm very sorry you couldn't hear it, but you'll get to see the window construction in action, hopefully.
So these are important. These are the curtain rods that go up inside those cornices. And like this one is curved. So these go in the curved parlor windows. And these are the straight ones that go in the ones that I have at home. Working on. So that's something else I want to do today. I have the curved ones stored up in the servant's bedroom upstairs. So I want to go look at those and see how much of the decoration is still there and what's missing there. And those look like lead. They're copper or bronze. Yeah. Oh, pretty. I love your table legs.
Not sponsored by the Centipede.
Is that what the name of it is? Hold on.
Handy for a portable table.
That's nice. That's lighter than sawhorses, and
Well, it's if you want to put a
plus
full.
it doesn't flex your table in the middle.
Yeah, if you want to put a full piece of plywood or something up as a cut table or just a work surface, it works a little better than sawhorses. Sawhorse is fine for just solid wood, just cutting stuff up.
All right, he's doing it himself. So what do you think that weighs?
30, 40 pounds with the glass.
You can really see now the curve in it. And I don't know what they cost. I've tried to look online for companies that can curve glass. Some big commercial glass companies do it, but I was told it's, I don't know, $1,500 to $2,000 to replace.
We're trying to find a piece, I don't know if we found a couple people that said maybe they could make it for another customer who it's a smaller window, or sash, but it's got almost about this much curve in it. And the smaller they are, I think the harder they are to make.
Really? Interesting.
I don't know why that is, but
What were they quoting you to do it?
I don't remember now what the quote came back at. Wasn't cheap, whatever
Wasn't
it
cheap.
was.
Well, just regular glass is expensive.
Right.
This thick glass can be several $100s just straight. So that's the old weather stripping. So that was not original, that was modified at some point?
Yeah, it would have been. You can see it's like a galvanized product too, so that would date it in that they didn't galvanize anything in the
Back then.
late
1893,
late 1800s, turn of the century. They weren't, not to my knowledge, they weren't.
So that's,
Did you need something? We got a camera right here.
just like a lead plug to hold that.
Yeah, a lot of times they have something that looks like a spring. That's what we use. It's typical on a lot of these. I've never seen one like this before. It's a unique one.
We're special.
Well, that's what you'll find is the more unique the house is, the more unique some of the hardware. You just it's like one of kind. They probably had a blacksmith or something make it back in the day. But you won't find another one like it.
Interesting.
For those of you who aren't familiar with these old windows, what Ben is removing now are the chains that attach over a pulley to big lead weights that act as a counterweight to make it easy to open and close the windows. They're basically stripping everything off to get down to just the sash itself so they can clean it up and get really good measurements on it.
So this is the top one, and these are single hung, which means the top one is actually fixed in. No, that doesn't make any sense because it has a chain on it. The other windows in the house are single hung. I wonder if these were double hung.
Yeah.
So that would be unusual because all these others are,
Are the other ones
well,
single?
maybe they're double hung.
Maybe the small ones are on the bottom.
No, small ones on the top. Maybe they are double hung. Upstairs they're single hung, but
That
maybe
could be.
maybe
That could be.
downstairs they double hung.
Because it
I
was
haven't climbed
a
up to lick those,
security.
but that looks like double hung because it's gapped down
Yeah.
Or
from
those
time.
walkthroughs?
Well, they
Well, it makes sense that they're walkthroughs.
These were
because
not
they would be short,
walkthroughs, but those were walkthroughs,
and they're not.
and they're not double hung.
A lot of times it was kind of like a security feature, right? You could still open your window. Somebody couldn't crawl through the.
Now, these had an old electric alarm system on them, so they were modified, which was interesting. They had sensors on them. So one thing people do wrong with windows is they paint the whole window, and you actually don't paint the little edge that slides up and down. You can wax that to make them work better. If you let paint go in or shove your paintbrush in and paint that, it causes the window to stick. No power? I just had it fixed. Oh, there's power. Oh, well, just unplug it. Yeah, I thought the electrician just rewired everything.
Unless he didn't flip the breaker on it.
Here it goes. I just flipped. Yeah, somebody broke into the house and threw a cinder block through where the temporary power came in and broke the conduit and shorted out our temporary power. So is that not original to the window? Is
No.
that somebody added? That's more of that
You can see they
weather
nailed that on.
stripping. Okay.
And the one thing I would say I dislike about this is as you're trying to remove it or replace it, you know, it'll leave these little nails behind, and you're probably lucky if you're 50-50 on pulling them.
Getting them out.
You know, so I mean, some of them will come out with the weather stripping, and you'll be able to get on some of these with a little bar and pull them out.
Pull them out.
They just break easily. The other ones we use are just primarily in the same as like this one is,
In
where
a
it's just
channel.
pushed into a curve. That just makes it easier to pull it out at some later date. Because that's the thing with these houses, they're going to be around long enough. Somebody's going to have to do the maintenance.
Do it again.
Stuff, you know.
Not me.
Yeah. Some later generation
I only have
is
to
going to
do
be.
all this once. Somebody
Yeah.
else can take over and do it.
Yeah.
That's like
Got
mother
it.
got a tetanus shot one time, and the doctor said, "Well, that's the last tetanus shot you'll ever have to have." She's like, "Thanks for the vote of confidence." So, yeah, this is the last time I'll ever do this window.
Last time you went to that doctor. Yeah, is he saying he's not a very good doctor? What's
Just no bedside manner. He thought it was funny, and she's like, "Yeah, when you're
Yeah.
85, that's not funny. Sticking out at all." Fortunately, they're tiny,
Yeah.
so they don't go in very far. And they don't look too, they're very tiny and thin.
Yeah, it's not a. The worst ones actually are the brass, and you would think, oh well, the brass is a better weather stripping. Well, I guess it is. With the little brass nails,
Tough.
oh yeah, they just like to break, and they hold a little bit, maybe hold a little bit better.
I didn't know until we did so much demo on this house that the old square nails have like 80% more gripping power than the current round wire nail. I mean, they're a booger to get out. And it's the physics of how they
the geometry
work,
of
yes.
a new nail is that it splits the wood.
Yeah.
And so it's making a little spot in there to hold, but it's in a split, which allows a lot more oxygen into those old ones. With the square, it would just cut a path right through there, wedge itself in. And I've pulled out nails that are over 100 years old, almost not even a spot of rust on them.
Yeah, because they're in there.
Solid iron, which they used a good iron on them back then too. So that says something about their ability to make make fasteners and
New
nails.
is not always better.
Let's tip up, spin it around. Okay, that one just had a push in right here.
Comes the big one.
You want to help him get that other one out back behind there? This one? Yeah.
It's not as bad as the stained glass. 2,000 versus 70,000 is.
Yeah, this is the one that's
separating.
Yeah, it's coming loose on that corner.
Yeah, like I said, I think the wood was in good shape.
Yeah.
It's just come undone, so hopefully it can just be
This definitely gotta
taken apart and cleaned and
Yeah.
glued and clamped.
That's the other beauty of how they constructed these is that they usually wouldn't glue the corners. They would put a peg in there, put a dowel through it.
So you could pull it down.
Yeah, a lot of times you can take those dowels out, fix it, re-dowel it.
Unless somebody's come in and put a million sheetrock screws like they do today, and you can't get anything out.
Yeah.
So it sounds like y'all had a very busy summer with jobs.
Yeah, more than a. Yeah, they're more than our fair share. And compared to last summer, we just had a lot less.
Were y'all doing the carriage house on that that red brick building with all the iron? I forgot the name.
They might come back to me in a minute. Yeah, we're
Did y'all get that finished out? The inside
finished.
of-
No. Oh, we get that finished. No, we had quite a bit of a delay with plumbing and whatnot over there.
No.
So,
Yeah, the city has a sign up now, 6-month wait minimum on all taps.
I think they told us 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
When we were going to look to get the tap over there.
Took me 18 to get mine here. I feel like I should Windex them. Clean them up a little bit. Or at least a wet microfiber and wipe them off.
Some gently prior. Slower the better. Yeah, it looked like they chewed that away a little bit. Quite possibly. So I think if we lay this one down, this side up, and we can kind of set our other one on there, line it up
There's one running down my leg.
here, and at least get a length.
Trying to ignore him.
Yeah.
Well, I'll send them.
Yeah, slide it all the way down maybe.
You know, one thing I need to be doing is stripping all these and priming and painting them before they get put in the frames.
Set this one up on there. Okay.
So one reason they're so airtight, if they're done right, is
So
where the
fold it in
two
the middle
come
there?
together, they're at an angle. And when you close the latch, it pulls them tight together to form a seal. So if they're made correctly, installed correctly, and maintained, they are airtight on their
You want to
own
hold on to that?
without having to add all this weather stripping.
You hold this guy for us in case it decides it wants to move. 102. Let's go to the other corner, the opposite corner.
Yeah. Pretty close.
And within a 1/16 of an inch, maybe. Let's
A 102?
check that one more. So that's an interesting one for you because of the curve is different from this sash to that sash.
Because that one's bigger, and you know why we know that lesson? Because look at you know what work they did on our
Yeah.
lentils. And I took them a template. We made these like 6 or 7 times because I'm like, you know, as you move out away from the point of the arc, they change.
And this is such a large curve. I'd have to try to sit down and mathematically calculate it, but I'm almost sure it's not a section of a circle. Because as much as it changes, it almost seems like it's like an elliptical maybe,
Could be.
or a slight off from a circle. So sometimes they would just pick an amount they wanted it to deviate, and they'd use a piece of spring steel, and they make a spring angle, and they say, boop, that's it.
That's
and they
it.
weren't actually
Doing the math on a
mathematically
full
calculating
circle.
it to try to like draw it. So,
And we did that too. Put something straight, and
Okay.
measured the delta and the distance. And we
Yeah.
tried every which way to get the fabrication company to understand. They got one set correct. And then when they did get the curve right, it was too short.
You want something to trace that?
Y'all can go back and look
you
at
got
that
something?
arch nemesis
Little
video.
strap
It
or something,
explains this in detail. So how much bigger, just out of curiosity, is that one? from this
So
one?
we're at 43.5 on the width on this one, and then it's 42 3/8. So it's almost an inch
So
difference.
almost an inch difference.
Or a little more than an inch, rather.
A little more than an inch.
Little more than an inch.
So y'all go back and look at that arch nemesis video if you want to understand
Yeah.
The complexity of working with these arches and the
The
problems.
complexity of
It
curves.
is not easy. Do what?
The complexity of curves.
I did one called the Arch Nemesis, and I did all that showed, you know, why, because this was so frustrating to do these. I mean, we've been at this almost 2.5 years, and it was all because of this crazy curve.
But I would almost bet that whoever did the brick initially was the one that set the curve, right?
I'm sure.
And that was laid out, you know, to some specification by the architect. But they probably had a trick for it as the masons were coming in to set it.
I'm sure they did.
And some of that just gets lost over the years. You don't have the same trades guys now as you used to, and so it's like, oh, how do we recreate the lintel? That can't be that hard.
No. Well, you would think making an actual template and taking it would work, but that didn't work either. So I'm going to get myself upset if I talk about it anymore. It was a horrible process.
Let's go ahead and just set this one back over there. I'm going to just trace the bottom.
I've
We
got
have a template, I believe.
I think I have a narrow piece of 1/4-inch plywood. I was just about to throw it in the trash heap.
I think he was grabbing one out of the truck, but we'll see.
It's even painted white, so it would be easy to trace on. If you don't have one, I'll run get it. Question for you: did they actually chisel out and remove some of this window when they put that weather stripping on?
Yeah,
Looks like it.
yeah.
So that would have been built up and level.
It would have been probably right to where this detail was.
Mm-hmm.
So there would have been a slight rabbit down from this one. But yeah, most likely that would have been level with this piece.
I've got a longer one if you want it.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't hurt.
That's why you never throw anything away, because look, that's perfect. Do you want to use the back side and trace the other one?
Is not cut at an angle, lands into a flat. That top sash is going to be a lot easier to mate up than
because
this one actually has a curve. So
this is another angle to shed water on the sill. It's sloped, so that comes down to the sill.
That one's the difficult one. A curve on a miter. Or on a bevel, I guess it would be rather, but
their work is done. So are you actually ready in the shop to start on these?
What's that?
You're actually ready in the shop to start on these?
Yeah. We have another door we're working on right now as well, but a lot of times it's nice to have two things working. That way if you're gluing something on one, you can...
Something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
The guys started packing up their stuff, and I went outside because what day is complete unless you move a few rocks? And I'm embarrassed to say how many trips I made before it dawned on me to get the wheelbarrow and bring 4 or 5 over at a time. But I wanted to get this flower bed complete that had been started with the church group that was here, because we have a lot of work to do before our events in October, and there's just no time to waste. So if I've got an extra hour, I might as well do something, especially when you're already sweaty and gross. So I'm going to keep doing that. And thank you guys for watching and supporting the house. We are the League-Kempner House in Galveston, Texas, a nonprofit. You can check out our website. We have an online store with our t-shirts for sale, or you can donate, or you can just give us a like and send us a message. We love to hear from you. We try very hard to get a video out every Sunday, so be sure and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you will get that ding when the new video pops up. Thanks again for watching. We really appreciate all your support. We hope to see you next week here at the League-Kempner House in Galveston, Texas.